What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's episode of the Collecting Keys Real Estate Investing podcast. Today is Wednesday. This is the Mike and Dan show. This is your first time here. We are the show that teaches you how to make massive income, not just passive income with your real estate investing business. And on these Wednesday shows, you are joined by me, Mike DeHana, my co-host here, Dan Austin, and we talk about real estate investing, business, and whatever else we feel like for the week. But anyways, as we are rounding out January, we have a lot going on in our business and also in the real estate market as a whole. So I guess it's funny, we were kind of going through everything over the next couple of weeks, and we have like almost, I feel like a quarter's worth or half a year's worth of stuff lined up here in like the next like 2 weeks, because we have like 10 closings between now and February 1st, which is next Friday. So I guess 4 days after you guys listen to this, after you guys listen to this. 10 closings there. We just went under contract on our first commercial property. We're planning to buy. We've started due diligence on that little office space. We're looking at a couple duplexes right now on seller finance that we might pick up. We have 2 different flips closing, which are the result of our subject to notes that got called. If you guys have been listening over the past couple of months, you've probably heard that story, so I won't beat it to death anymore. But those should be closing over the next couple of weeks. What else do we have? We got a unit turn we have going on. We got bed bugs. We're dealing with
bed bugs again, twice, so the same unit. We are hopefully selling this. The deal is closed. We have a deal we're selling right now, our seller wrap that we're selling from our personal portfolio. But that's
finally closing. Where are we on a 10-week closing timeline?
I'm walking on a fine line. I'm ready for this thing to blow up at any minute. Like, it's getting to the point to where I just found out that our previous closing agent never actually paid the taxes, the prorated taxes on behalf of the seller at closing. And so we do have a due tax bill that we are not responsible for. The previous owners are, which they're going to be pissed, which is going to probably bring light to the whole situation. They're going to be like, what's going on here? And, they're not going to be happy. So
is that an error by our title and escrow company on that?
Yes. Yeah. And
sucks.
Of course, our escrow company, the one that services the note, is like been calling and sending letters to everybody. I'm like, I've not received a single thing or correspondence, but I know our closing attorney probably has, or a closing agent probably has, because they're a business and they actually have phone numbers at work and emails apparently. So, which I don't know where they are sending our stuff, but it's not coming to me.
Nice.
So that's fun. So that one's, we're just, we're walking a fine tightrope on that one, but just among other things, we got a lot going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, all in all, just between our closings, the wholesale deals and the stuff that we're selling and potentially buying, we have like 16 or 17 basically over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that,
got our freaking rock star transaction coordinator that's based in the Philippines is freaking handling it all like a champ.
She's been doing pretty well. Honestly, it's funny. Like, I feel like so many people have bad experiences with VAs. A, because they probably recruit them and manage them poorly. But B, they don't encourage them or allow them to learn. I think that's one of the big things, which you do need to find good ones that actually want to learn, which we're fortunate to have done that. But I mean, she's, I don't know, generally more reliable than a lot of the US based employees we have. She shows up every day. She never complains about anything.
No. She's doing good. That's a lot of work to handle too. Balance, a lot of different stuff going on.
Yeah. So that's been good to see. And then with the scale community, we found a lot going on there. We started up some sales training, which has been good. We have our second iterations of that tomorrow, which I'm excited about. And we started doing sales training with our scale community, which was something that we did at KeysCon, which was our in-person event a couple of months ago. We kind of had an impromptu sales accountability and training on site there, which people were kind of thrown by, but then a lot of them said it was their favorite part of the entire event. So we decided to bring it and figure out a way to do it virtually on Zoom for people in our scale community. And so what that is, it's like a 90-minute call we do every 2 weeks. And we do a sales review, a call review and a training the first half hour. And then for the next 60 minutes, we split people into groups and we actually have them do round robin accountability, doing their lead follow-up and actually helping coach and navigate problems like peer to peer as we're talking to these different sellers. And the first one, we actually had a guy get a deal accepted and under contract like during which is pretty rad.
Sick. I was sitting there watching it and I was like, this is awesome. He did a fantastic job too. And I think that was a lot of fun to do, and the community and the camaraderie it builds really is good because we're doing it where you're in a small group, like 3 to 4 people. And we're like, hey, if you don't have leads, you're not off the hook. Like you're calling somebody else's leads. You better do a good job because it's like their leads, right? Like we always say, it's better that somebody else calls it than nobody calls it, right? And it's just like a really great opportunity to learn and like sharpen your, steel sharpens steel, right? So sharpening your tool set and like getting to give other people feedback, and sometimes listening to other people do it, you pick little nuances up, but also giving feedback, like you learn through teaching and all that stuff. And so it's just good all around. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and what's fun to do stuff that's actionable as well, because I feel like so many different communities the people are involved in, or even like generally when we coach or we have people that get on calls and things like that, they want to talk about a lot of theoretical stuff, which is great. That's important, but to have the opportunity to like get people to do things that's actionable and is actually getting them to like do the stuff that they've been procrastinating on and that everyone procrastinates on forever, I think that's really
well. Yeah, and you know what the other thing is like we paid for like our team to go through sales training and stuff, and a lot of that is back to theory or they're doing like hypothetical situations, which is fine, right? That's better than nothing. But like there's no better way in our opinions from what we've seen to do it than a real life person who isn't going to steer the conversation to prove whatever like value point that they want to drive, that drives their personal ego as the instructor of sales training. It's like, because like if you're sitting there and I always love seeing these videos where it's like this hard charging, like type A, like sales guy, and he's teaching his sales team all this stuff. And he's throwing out things like, well, and they pretending to be the seller in some scenario. And of course they steer the conversation to make their video look like they're a badass, right? And that their sales guy that they're training sucks and they're actually going to teach them how to do it. And then you sign up for their sales training course. Yeah. That's not always realistic. Sometimes it's just like an old dude that's like, I don't know. What do you want to offer me?
I for sure. That is always kind of the question I've had around the sales training and different things that people get or people coach that way. I mean, I'm not a sales coach. I don't have like a track record of building these like 8 or 9 figure sales teams like a lot of these guys claim to do. But it just like fundamentally doesn't make sense. Some of like the different, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do like a sales scrimmage. We're going to do these things because you're practicing with like a loaded person, right? That like already knows all the different ways the conversation can go, and like
they put in a box that doesn't have a way for you to like actually be creative or get out of it. Because like that's what I mean is like the scrimmage is set up for the person on the other side to like control it in a way that's maybe not reality.
For sure, right? It's like if you're trying to train someone to be in the NFL, you're not going to take them to play like middle school ultimate frisbee. Like it's just not like I guess the concept's the same. You got to be able to like throw an item and like catch and like run, but you're not going to be able to like take hits. You're throwing something that's completely different. You're not going to be able to like maneuver quite the same. Like it just doesn't make sense, right? You're just not. It's not apple to apple, but. I mean, I guess it's better than doing nothing.
That's what I was going to say. I think that stuff is valuable in lieu of like doing nothing, but like just talk to real leads if you have the opportunity to. That's what the practicing and getting out there in the real world is what's going to make you better.
For sure. And if you don't have that, just find ways to get it. Run marketing. Like if you need to practice calling leads and you never run marketing, you don't have any leads, get on a freaking cold caller, like a dialer, and start hitting that. And it'll be miserable, but you know what? You'll get your reps in.
And nobody loves that.
No, and if you're like, I don't want to do that, well, then hire a company to do it. Hire a cold calling or a marketing team and then talk to leads after they come in.
I mean, here's the reality of the situation too. Like if you're trying to figure out how to start this and you're like, oh, I suck at sales or I don't know anything about this, go into it like you're saying, go figure out how to get set up on a dialer, get some data to call these people and just start cold calling people. And if you do that long enough, like you will find a deal, like guaranteed. Like you'll get good enough and you'll understand it and you'll figure out real estate, you'll get a deal. And forever from that point on, you'll know how to make money. No matter what's going on. If you can pick up the phone and start cold calling people to generate revenue, which you can't, like anybody can do, right? Some people are better than others. Like that's an amazing skill set that you should feel really good about.
Yeah. And I think the biggest mistake people make is they start that and they pivot Or the one that gets me right now, I say right now, it's been like this for a while. You'll have the people that start marketing to be like a wholesaler and off-market investor. And every single lead that comes back, because this always happens, just so you know, regardless, they want too much for their property. They want retail price. Of course they do. Every single person wants the full value of their asset.
Absolutely.
They're not going to sell to you at a discount because they feel like it. They have to have a reason to. They have to have some kind of motivation. House needs to be worked. They want to do this really quick. That's where we as wholesalers invest make money. But what most people do is they get like their first 30 or 40 leads that come in that are like that. And instead of diving in, trying to see if there actually is a motivation or situation where they can make money with it on a discounted price, they go, I'm going to go and become a realtor too. So that I can go and get all these listings. Yeah. And, I think the success rate of people that decide to add that as a additional opportunity must be pretty dang close to zero, because I feel like,
especially if you do it after a failed opportunity and you're trying to do it to increase income, there are people out there that have done one or the other, and they do one very successfully and they decide to add a profit center to the other one. Because of opportunity in their market, and they usually have somebody else manage or run the other piece for them, if not a business partner.
Yeah,
the successful ones.
And that's the thing, right? Is they basically try to either run them in tangent, and what they're doing is they're saying, I'm running marketing to either wholesale or to list these properties, and I'm going to try and explore both of them at the same time. The problem is, if you have this listing opportunity in your back pocket, you're never even going to do the hard work to dive in to explore the wholesale opportunity, because you're always going to be like, oh, they want too much money, I'm just going to offer to list it. And they're like, I don't actually want to sell, screw you. Or or it doesn't make sense for me to put it on the market. And it just goes to nothing. Versus if you're like, I need to figure out how to wholesale this deal, you're going to do the discovery calls, right? You're going to meet them at the house. You're going to hear about the divorce they didn't tell you about on the first 7 calls that you had, right? You're going to hear about the tenant that was raising hamsters in the freaking basement, and now there's an infestation that's inside the walls, right? Those are the things that if you are instantly just focused on the money, right? Or the money that they want and not wanting to have a hard conversation, you're going to miss that completely and you're going to do nothing.
Absolutely. And here's the real reality of it too. Say you start out as a wholesaler and you're running the marketing as you should. Generally speaking, the cost to run that marketing is not applicable to the revenue stream that you will get as a realtor. For example, you might be able to get a $20,000 wholesale deal, but the net commission after you pay for all your professional photos and stuff on that might be, say, $6,000.
If you're lucky,
if you're lucky,
your broker, right? So it's probably really $3,000.
So really $3,000, right? And so, if your cost per deal ends up becoming $4,000, which it usually does on the wholesale side, somewhere in there, $3,000 to $5,000, I would say is a very good broad range cost per deal from a marketing standpoint. Well, you're going to be running that at a net loss. You're going to beat your head off the wall. Why am I not making more money? And you're going to be working your tail off. And what we've found over time, even just running with normal acquisition managers, when we give them the opportunity to hey, pivot to a retail listing, they will always do that. Right? Because if any money is better than no money, and they immediately will jump to that. So we have to be really diligent and coach them. It's no, we're not doing retail listings or retail referrals. That's something that shakes out of the bottom, that it's oh yeah, that'll work, cool. But that is never the primary. And when they tell you, hey, when they say no to your $150,000 offer, I want $300,000, that doesn't mean you list it and try to do a referral fee to an agent. That means you need to dig in and work with them on that. Because reality is, most of the time, from what we've seen, trying to monetize your wholesale marketing leads as retail listings they're just not retail people, right?
Yeah, totally.
A lot of times they're calling you, especially if you're doing direct mail, they're calling you because they didn't want to go with an agent. If they're going to go with an agent, they'll go with a guy down the road from them that's been beating on their door for the last 6 months.
Yeah, or what they're going to do is they're going to go through this whole process, exactly, trying to sell them being an agent, and they're going to end up working with their hairdresser's neighbor's nephew, just because that's a more trustworthy person to them.
Right. Well, and oftentimes they're going to want a discount, right? What is your sales pitch at that point? And they're going to want a discount because they don't see you necessarily as a premium realtor. There's realtors in town that we know and see. They don't even negotiate on commission. They're no, if you're not going to do the full price, but if you don't agree with my service at a full price, you're not the right fit for me. Go to a discount broker. And those are the folks that are really crushing on that. They'll do that. They're good at retail listings and drumming up that kind of business.
Yeah, and the funny thing is there are those people and they decide that they're going to go and be a wholesaler. And you know what happens? They usually fail
Yeah,
because it's a different sales process, a different conversation. You know, they can build teams that can go and help make that a little bit more successful. But I don't think I personally know anyone that has had a super successful wholesaling team and then stood up a good brokerage alongside, or vice versa, has had a really good brokerage and then stood up a successful wholesaling team. I've seen some that are kind of like, one is really good and the other one kind of exists, right?
Sure.
But to have them both just be crushing it, you just don't see that very often. If
It's
anybody
a lot
knows
tougher.
that person, please send me a DM on Instagram at Mike_invest, because I would love to have them on the show.
Yeah, let's bring them on the show.
Literally never heard of that at all.
Yeah, I would love to see how they're doing it. That begs another question. So we had a great, there's a lot of guys jumping on a similar topic adjacent to this about getting your broker license as a wholesaler, not just necessarily stand up a firm, but to help with being an off-market real estate investor. Like, what are your thoughts on that? There was a pretty robust like engagement from our community on this.
Well, that's always a tough question, right? And it's one that comes up a lot. And I think a lot of people, when they're like brand new, they think that, and this was me as well, they think that going through that process of getting their license will make them more educated on real estate, which, I mean, like if you actually study the stuffs in the real estate exams, there is some valuable information in there for sure.
Right.
But most people don't. Like if you just go talk to the average realtor about what they know about the real estate process, you'll understand very quickly that it's not that valuable. Certain states, I mean, it's different than others, like Texas or I know Texas is a good one because it's non-disclosure state, and it's also very common for wholesalers to use the MLS specific forms down there.
Yeah.
Other non-disclosure states, it can be very valuable for you to have access to MLS.
Yeah, because in a non-disclosure state, you're not going to be able to get the comping, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
but you can
exactly.
get that by partnering with a great realtor that will do that for you, as long as like you're giving him enough business on the back end of things.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest risk with it, I mean, some states already have this as a challenge. So in Washington State, technically you're a fiduciary to sellers here if you have a retail license, which means that you have to basically make the seller aware that you're an agent and that you are buying their property for less than it's worth. If you don't, you can get slapped with some very, very heavy fees. And that doesn't, I guess, technically exist everywhere, which seems weird to me, but I imagine it's going to start coming around nationwide pretty
More
quickly,
often.
especially with all this colluding stuff with the National Association of Realtors over the past couple of months. Like they're going to start slamming down on that pretty hard.
Looking to make sure that their job, a lot of these attorney generals, they want to help the consumer, which is the seller or the buyers in these situations. So they're going to probably start seeing, we'll probably see some legislation state by state. I think, so there's some value in a broker's license, but you have to know whether it's adding enough value for you to maintain it. So in Washington State, so when we started out, at some point I got my broker's license after our first year of operation, and the goal there was that we were going to use that for referral deals. We'd be able to refer out to brokers, list their own flips, list their own properties, as well as pick up listings, all of which we've done. And we've done it all. But I would argue, for us in Washington, where the way it works is it's really not that big of a benefit to have, because we're not a non-disclosure state. So we have Zillow is badass if you're trying to comp properties. Like you can do it so much faster than if you go on our MLS and try to pull like a full-on CMA, because like the CMA takes just as much data input to feed that system the way ours is set up, and time as it's like double or triple for me to go just look at Zillow and find 3 properties. I'm like, yep, this is boom, I'm done. So speed right there, we don't need it. When we're doing like our full operation of flipping houses, like you're going to save a few bucks on the listing when you're flipping, but just find an expert badass. That's what they do. What I would argue is go find the best realtor in your town that can sell properties like the best of them, right?
Yeah.
And pay them a full commission.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to get a better price. Like it's true. Especially in these markets now where it's not like where you just throw it up and you sell it under rehabbed, all that crap, like iPhone photos. Now you need to be like really good at that. And if you find an agent, which we've worked with one here in the past recently, like that knows how to negotiate on your behalf, those people also carry weight within the realtor circle. And so other realtors respect them, and they'll kind of like back down a little bit when they're trying to negotiate on your behalf and help you, out on that. So I think that's just even from listing your own properties. Like you think you're saving a few bucks, And maybe it does help, but it's really not that valuable.
Well, I think bottom line, you can potentially be saving money because you're not paying as much of a commission, right? That's what they see, but you're completely right. They don't see the potential, the higher upside on the deal. And the big thing that always seems to get overlooked, and I think it's because new people don't have a ton of opportunity yet, is the opportunity cost of that, right? And that's what we learned is, well, remember when you first got your license, we're like, oh yeah, you'll just like list our properties and do all these things. You're wasting all this freaking time when it's like really what you should have been doing is managing more flips and, you know, helping like secure more rental properties. Since our setup was you kind of did the post-contract stuff, I did the pre-contract stuff. And lo and behold, you were now getting stretched too thin doing dumb stuff like going to like do a walkthrough with not that serious of buyers and things. It's like just pay the person 3%. If 3% honestly breaks your deal, it's a shitty deal and you shouldn't have bought it in the first place.
Right. And the person that you're doing that to, you're finding is, assuming they're a great broker, they have a transaction coordinator that you're getting that goes along with it. They have escrow contacts that you're going to go along with. They have all these other contacts that they build because that's their business. And if, like I said, if they're top level, top shelf realtors, so to speak, like they're going to have a really A plus team. We didn't even have that, right? So we're saving 3% in commission, but we don't have a transaction coordinator because a lot of times as a smaller wholesale operation, you're not going to have a TC on staff like that. We didn't have all the systems in place and processes to where their job is solely to market that property for us and have all the systems to do it where, you know, we didn't. So then, then you get in the game of like wasting your time doing that. And then you're trying to chase down also when you're chasing down listings and stuff like that, you're trying to chase down referral fees that you're doing. Like it just kind of adds up to where I think there is value, but you really have to understand how much time you're going to be spending to monetize that. And then in Washington, you got to do the whatever 90 credit hours of education plus the test. And then after the first renewal, like your first 2 years, because the licenses last 2 years here in Washington, you have to do another 60 hours of CEs, and then you have to do so many every single year just to maintain it, plus quarterly fees, annual dues, all that stuff adds up. Like they changed lock boxes recently here in our MLS, and I could not get the new ones. So because of some stupid email thing, and realtors are just like other real estate investors, like the MLS, they are not tech savvy. So now I have lock boxes I still haven't swapped out. So I can't even put things on houses and get access to them and other people access. Like it's just like this silly thing.
You know, something so funny is like, why is the MLS so freaking complicated to use when realtors like can't use the most basic technology?
Well, especially ours. Like, there's probably some that like their MLSs are badass because MLS just if you're not familiar with it, they're very local. So ours, we work in Spokane, Washington. So like our MLS is specific to the Spokane County and the greater area around here. That's within, I don't know, like an hour drive probably around, you know, north, south, east, west from here. Because there's some rural areas too that it encompasses. And then the tech stack around that is very rudimentary. Like it's not super easy to use. And so like you just like, especially when I first signed up as a realtor, some of the stuff was really, really bad. And it's gotten a little bit better now, but like it's not the best. So for us, it's like, how valuable is it?
For sure.
Deal with the headaches of doing forms and all the other crap you have to do. Because when you do like an off-market transaction, we typically have our PSA. Like we're buying as is or doing all this stuff. You go to our MLS, you've got like 6 or 7 mandatory forms you have to fill out and all these other things that add together. It's like a 30-page PSA by the time you're done with it.
Yeah. And I really do think that a lot of people pursue that and choose that themselves because they feel like they're saving money, but in reality, it's because they are afraid of doing the work that's harder, that's going to make them more money, which is, you know, calling more leads, doing more marketing, making more offers. But yeah, I mean, they said you have to kind of learn it yourself. You remember like that freaking portfolio that was owned by that family that the mom died or dad died or whatever it was?
Yeah.
And that we listed like all their properties.
Yeah.
There was like 5 of them. And we did this purely because we were competing with other wholesalers to try and like buy the houses, and they just had more financial power than we did. So we were never able to compete with their offers. And we just burned the bridge and we're like, oh, well, all these people are undercutting you. This is what your properties are actually worth, and we'll list them for that. And so they would go with us.
Yeah.
So it was
like,
almost
if
like
you can't sell it, if we can't sell at this price, we'll buy them.
Yeah. Right. We probably heard that on a podcast or something. And that was our arrangement. Was we said, if we can't sell them at this price, we'll buy them at this price, which was like just below the list price minus, you know, retail fees and everything else.
Yeah.
And this was 2021, so you could sell anything on the market.
Yeah. And we did sell anything.
We did sell these properties. But I just remember like the dumb stuff. Like you had to keep going to that one because the tenant would throw a tantrum every time.
Dude, there's this one property that I listed, and there's this old dude that had an oxygen tank, and he would sit and he smoked in the house. And it was gross, right? It was a gross house, and just not a nice person in general. And then their neighbor came out one time. He's an old guy. The neighbor was probably 80, and he tried fighting me. As the broker, I like my signs in the yard. I would get all these calls from all these people about how much of like a terrible person I am for selling the property. I'm like, I'm literally just a listing broker. I'm sorry that these guys have to move out when they're selling it. And we had to issue them a notice, and I helped the owners through that. But literally, this 80-year-old dude, like literally almost like he came at me and got like an inch from my face and wanted to fight me because I was a terrible person. I was like, this is not worth it.
It's so funny. I mean, like those are the same people, right? That are like, shame on realtors for marking up the prices of property so much. Like it's disgusting.
Right.
Like there should be anti-capitalism rules against realtors. It's like, that's not how it works at all.
That it's not how it works. Like, hey, come on, people. Yeah, that was a tough one. I mean, I don't even know what we netted on that, but out of like we sold like 4 houses for them, and I bet you our net commission to the business after like paid the broker and all that was less than a wholesale fee. You know what I mean? Ours was less than our average wholesale fee.
If I remember, I think it was like $18,500 because they were all like $200,000 to $300,000 properties. Yeah.
I mean,
what a waste of time.
Was it worth it? Honestly. Yes, to make sure our competition didn't buy it, but
we'll see. But that was what we were doing because at that point in time, there was basically us and like 2 others in town.
Yeah.
And we're like, they just had like a huge fund, and we're like, we can't compete with them on this. Yeah. So we just said, we'll just burn the bridge. And so like we made 18 positive, but they didn't make 100K, and that was all.
Exactly. Boom. Yeah. That's all that mattered.
But
sometimes you got to do what you got to do,
It's just such an interesting recurring question. We get that, I don't know, I feel like it comes up once a week in scale at least, where people are asking about it.
Yep.
And I guess the bringing it full circle, the answer is it depends on your market, right? Look at what the upsides are of it and the downsides. Look at the recurring costs. Look at the recurring education. Make sure that you're not going to be doing something where you're going to be getting yourself into a situation where you're at risk of litigation because you're still going to be trying to make discounted offers on properties. Like check all that and then make the decision yourself. There's no right or wrong answer. It depends on the market, depends on you. But the real answer is don't do it because you should. But that's also
yeah.
But in reality, there isn't a right or wrong.
If you already have a license, it's not going to be a big deal to keep it, like stuff like that. But I guess my only opinion on this is if you're going to go out and get a license and think that that's going to build a large, robust revenue stream for you, I think you're better off just getting better at wholesaling. Like, I'm not going to beat you up for getting a realtor license and monetizing it some way, because there's some value too. Like, right? Like if you wanted to sell your house, Mike, I have my broker's license, I'm just going to list it for you. You don't have to go to another, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that, where there's some value, like if you care about that. Like I can go walk any house I want here in Spokane. Like if I want to go buy a new house, like that's fine. I don't have to bug anybody, but it's
or even like little stuff. Like when I bought this house here, you were my buyer's agent. You were able to make some money, and I was able to save a bunch on fees. It worked out great.
Exactly. Yeah. So there you go. There's some positives. It's like not negative, but the moral of the story is I don't think that you should think of that as a major profit center that you should grow when you're trying to, in reality, grow a wholesale business, because the transactions you'll do there will be much more valuable, and the skill set that you build there is going to be very specific and valuable to real estate investing.
Yep, exactly. So, yeah, and it's just like everything else, just because it's in the real estate realm doesn't mean it's all in like the same path. It's just like, somebody who's really good at cooking pizza is going to be the same as cooking sushi, right? Just because it's food related doesn't mean it's the same freaking thing. It's different skill sets, different systems, different processes. Even though your pipeline of leads is the same, like it's a whole different sales process and product you're delivering at the end. So it's important not to make it. All right, I feel like that's a pretty good place to wrap up. So thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate you hopping on. You should go to collectingkeys.com/sub2, and you can get our free course that will teach you all you need to know about subject to transactions. And hopefully that will allow you to avoid or at least mitigate any damage when you get a subject to loan called like we did last month, which was a really, really fun 6 weeks figuring that out. So go to collectingkeys.com/sub2, grab that free course, and you'll get a good education. And it's all the stuff that like Pace Morby teaches you, but it won't cost you $10K. It's completely free.
Yeah.
So go check.
Except for we try to fill in the gaps of things that the gurus like Pace aren't teaching, right? Which is like the risks associated with any creative financing transaction you just got to be aware of.
Yep, exactly. Just like, any kind of real estate, there's risk of it. And that one, just because few people understand that there's always extra. But go check that out, and we appreciate you all. Talk to you guys next week.
See y'all.